So I'm starting this with a little bit of an intro so you can kind of get to know where I'm coming from and why I'm trying to advocate for the charge blade. Currently I am sitting at about 1,000+ gameplay hours, and majority of those hunts are charge blade, so I think I might know a little bit about what I'm talking about. I also played through the entirety of Iceborne with nothing but charge blade, dabbled in it a little bit on actual Monster Hunter World, and I beaten everything there is to beat in the original game back when that actually mattered. So from that point, if that doesn't convince you that I might know a little bit what I'm talking about, I don't really know what else to show. But if it did, let's go ahead and get to the video. Charge blade is the most technical weapon in the game, a quote the Monster Hunter World dev team seems to want to stand by. Now, if you're heading into the Iceborne DLC, I've taken it upon myself to learn every in and out behind this weapon. So today, we're going over the charge blade. Here's how we're going to set up the info. Why charge blade? How to charge? Movement/defensive options. Axe form. Using charges with shield, sword, and axe. And finally, guard point. Charge blade is one of the few weapons capable of dealing with any monster in the game. Between your ramping damage sword combos through files, your fantastic slide options and shield capabilities, not to mention possibly the best good morning ultimate in the game, beating the charge blade is a hard option. If you've ever played Street Fighter or any other 2D fighter, you'll understand that charging usually lowers your offensive options, almost always for defensive ones. In Monster Hunter World, however, this is not the case. Charging is simple. The first thing to understand is files. Charging your files will make the charge blade the best weapon it can be. These will in turn buff up your shield, sword, and new axe options. Any strike that lands in sword form will charge your files. A few basic but highly important rules of charge blade are: attack, affinity, critical boost, weakness exploit, or handicraft will not affect your gameplay with charge blade. This means that the strength of your weapon nor the type of weapon changes how you use one charge blade from the other whatsoever when discussing how to charge. The only thing to focus on is purely the attacks that land and the ones you defend. Pretty much any sword form attack will grant you files as long as they make contact, even if it doesn't seem that way. However, some attacks gain clearly more than others would. Empty charge, an older technique, however, does no longer add any charge to your files if you're not making contact, sadly. Something to be careful of, however, is that your axe form does not grant any charge, but will spend it during any of your elemental discharge combo strikes. You are the middle breed between a light and heavy weapon in Monster Hunter World, so you get the blessings of playing both fields. In the majority of your scenarios, you can stand firm with your shield ready to take whatever the world throws your way, or choose the evasive option and dance around your opponent with a sliding slash. Firstly, because this will be a lot easier to cover, your slide attacks. You have a few different variations of this attack, so let's start from your neutral stance. To draw your weapon for the basic dash attack, you'll input forward plus triangle. Also, during any run animation, you can still do this with forward plus triangle plus circle. To access your other slide attacks, you must have first attacked already. Then you can use sliding slash at any forward direction input. Your side sliding slash are your best, being able to change the angle of attack by holding the direction input either in or out, depending on the situation. Next up, your trusty shield. Holding R2 will have you assume the position. Guarding approximately 80 degrees in your character's front-facing direction, this will also guard certain attacks coming from above as long as they wouldn't hit any of your back. In this game, you can actually guard a surprising number of strikes: claws, tail swipes, lunges, roars, and even some elemental attacks, but that one is inconsistent. The powerhouse, the mighty morphin axe form, not to be confused with switch axe. This form is all about one thing: damage. Trust me, it can definitely get up there with the big boys. You can use axe very easily, either from neutral position by pressing guard, or literally from any sword combo by pressing guard plus triangle. This form is very simple, but also very effective at what it wants to accomplish. Anytime you have a situation where you need big damage, axe form is the answer. It has the most KO, mounting damage, and part breaker that you can achieve with this weapon. The attack strings are pretty simple here, to be honest, but that doesn't mean ineffective. Triangle will cause a rising slash, and triangle again will cause a overhead slash. Both these attacks are your best options for hitting airborne opponents, such as Rathalos or Legiana. Since this attack particularly is so slow, due to most of the animation being a run, you want to make sure it is used only as a chase option for mobile enemies. Even with its speed, it is much better to use rather than dodge and attempt a rising slash. Then you have your circle attack string, elemental discharge 1, 2, and amped elemental discharge. Both first and second strikes are wide hitting swings, though they'll only make contact once each, where the final hit is a hard and powerful downswing. However, as powerful this is, it is only the level 1 of your possible ultimate. We'll be covering the rest soon. Charged up, ultimate? Is Balian really holding out on us? Yes, but trust me, we're covering it all. The grandest and most aggravating thing about Charge Blade is actually using your charges. Surprising, I know. Though using your charges sounds simple enough, it's managing when and where to use them that makes this weapon a hassle for any to learn. When mastered, however, it is very possible to be one of the most consistently mobile and damaging players in a hunt. As the cherry on top of it all, the Super Amped Elemental Discharge, or SAED. I'm mentioning it now that we're on charges, so it gives us a reason to remember this info. Cause trust me, I forget myself here and there. Firstly, let's get into your files. These lovely things are your bread and butter. After getting a few good hits in exclusively through sword form attacks, your charge will change from yellow, orange, and then red. To add these to your arsenal, you input guard plus circle to store as files. Thanks to Iceborne, you can now stack files. Before you wouldn't be able to stack up yellow twice to max out your files, now you can. Currently, there are 3 different aspects you can charge: your shield, your sword, and your axe. Also, this is where the video gets kind of lengthy, so if you want to follow those annotations, if you want specific info here, otherwise, here we go. There's 2 ways to charge your shield. Initiate any attack in sword form, then triangle and circle, again triangle and circle, and finally guard. Or, enter into axe form with guard, then triangle circle, and cancel with guard again. Basically, any attack can go into shield thrust combo, then AED, and be cancelled into your shield. Now, any of these methods will put any saved files into your shield. And yes, in a pinch, one single file can be converted into a charged shield. However, you cannot add charge to your shield. They have to be converted to files before you can do anything with them. Back on topic, charging your shield will allow you to access slightly new features. However, nothing as crazy as the sword and axe forms. Charging your shield adds an extra discharge to your guard point that has very slim slugger, added damage, but most of all, it seems to auto guard point anything as long as you have the frames to actually guard yourself. Basically, if you're a defensive player, there's zero reason to ever let your shield run out. Also, any shield thrusts now have an extra effect, also with a slight increase in damage. Now, moving on to the easiest of the 3, sword charge. There's only one way to charge your sword. It sucks, but it's all we got. At least it's easy to go over. Anyways, you know the drill by now. Neutral stance, any attack, then guard plus circle, but now you hold triangle. This allows you to charge your sword if you release between the active window. Too early, you'll just do return stroke, and too late and your character strains the attack, but as long as you release with good timing, you're ready to go. The charge sword is very simple. First, you need a charged shield, even if only the last itty bitty amount of charge is left. You get it ready, you cut monsters in half, easy. Now, any strike coming from your sword form will have a discharge to it. This may initially feel like just a slight amount of extra damage, but since it's per hit, it definitely adds up. After just a single combo, you can rack up some hefty damage depending on your setups. The only time you shouldn't have a charged sword is if you don't have time to charge or you need to save those files to hold. Tired of playing with the sword and shield? It's time to become the powerhouse. Axe form is all about the damage. If you think a strong setup with a charged sword sounds nice, this is a whole new level. Now, charge axe form is kinda strange. It requires getting charged, storing files, and cycling through those files radically. Files very much become your best friend in attempting to use Axe form to its maximum potential. Files will allow you to add extra damage on your elemental discharge attacks, or you can burn all your files immediately with your super amped elemental discharge. Not to mention, when charged up, every attack gets that discharge to it, just further increasing the insane amount of power behind this form. What all this means is that you have 3 forms of attack options in charged Axe form. Hack and slash with rising slash, overhead slash, back to sword form to replenish your files, then continue the carnage with Axe form. Burn your files as quickly as possible with elemental discharge 1 and 2 between the monster's torso area, getting the utmost damage the fastest you can. Or, get ready to ult. The best way is with charge shield, axe, and at least 3 files for your strongest impact SAED. For power element charge blades, you should have a charge shield, axe, and as many files as possible. Through practice, you can achieve a special technique known as guard point, usually the perfect guard in other games. To access this guard state, you must have the monster make contact with you during the small window of time as you activate certain attacks. Also, if you're looking to learn these abilities in and out, you should learn them specifically in this order, since they go up in difficulty quickly. Learning the timing on Sword Morph Slash is very important to your offensive capabilities. Due to the long frames of using your shield to guard following most actions, this attack makes you instantly transition into shielding attacks you couldn't before. However, it is important to note that the startup to this animation is the guard point, not the whole animation. It allows you to attacks you otherwise would not have the luxury of completing, or just to play a very high risk, high reward playstyle. This guard point is the most common because it is the only one you can access from any sword form combo, once again confirming the balance of offense defense in this form. This makes any previous unsafe idea just free damage, or maybe even squeeze in a free charge. Not to mention, the actual startup on this action is so near instant that it doesn't even feel like you can be hit sometimes. Abuse this to run rampant on monsters you otherwise would have to avoid even wanting to fight. Second runner up, Spinning Slash or Elemental Round Slash. Though this animation comes from many other attacks, I'm calling this one the most important. There's 2 reasons behind this. Usually the ender of your combos are the final animation after charging your shield. This is when the guard point is active. Compared to both the others, it's strange. It's after the entire attack that this one activates, rather than at the beginning like the first and last. Even weirder, you can still Sword Morph Slash out of it, so why should you aim for this guard point? This guard point is a safety net to charging your shield basically. When a charge shield is so important to charge blade gameplay, this move becomes fantastic. And finally, here comes Savage Axe Slash. The fact that a new move added to Iceborne has a guard point tied to it says the development team is aware of these and intentionally added them in. And that honestly makes me happy about this all. Past all that dirty sentiment in our educational tutorial, Savage Axe Slash's guard point is horrible. Now, don't get me wrong, I love that it's there, but there's little to no reason to use it. This guard point is only after the startup. It's a very small window and it's inactive at the initial beginning. Sadly, pulling it off puts you right back into sword form, does not charge your axe form, and has no benefits over either other guard point. So why use it? There's only 2 purposes to use this one. You're using axe form and you want to finish it off with SAED, but see the monster whip around. No time to stop yourself and back out at your final moments. Savage Axe Slash your way out with a secret new guard point. Or, you're just trying to style on a monster for a highlight reel. That's fine. It feels fantastic to guard point a monster with this extra flashy attack. Honestly, you should burn those files back into your shield with Axe Morph Slash. And even if you were early, either just guard or Sword Morph Slash back for those superior guard points. Sure, trust me, I know how much it sucks to lose all those files and all that damage. But the worst way to lose out on your damage is carding. That's just being honest. Well, thank you for sticking around for my Charge Blitz tutorial. I really hoped you guys learned something important through this. That's the whole reason I'm trying to put this all together. I expected to have this out last week. This took a lot longer than I really thought it would between the editing and the scripting and just all of it together. It was a lot more than I tried to bite off. Anyways, If you maybe want to see us pull off some of these crazy techniques, I should be streaming next Tuesday and next Friday. And until then, maybe subscribe, maybe shoot me a message on Twitter, maybe go ahead and follow on Twitch. I would greatly appreciate any of it. And you have a great day. Peace out.